let's get started. So in this session, we'll be talking a little bit about assignments. So we'll look at the different types of assignments, what we can do with the assignment types, differentiating due dates, and also using Google LTI 1.3. If you are interested in that, it will be the very last thing we're going to cover. I know it is a topic that most people have a lot of questions about, but I will get to it, I promise. Perfect. So this session is being recorded. If you need to go back to it, you most likely have access to the recording. So keep that in mind, but also ask questions. If you have any questions right at the moment, please pop those in the chat. By default, it will only come to panelists, which is me. If you are comfortable sharing, please change that to panelists and attendees so everyone can benefit from the questions and answers. I will be answering the questions live. I will not, it's less likely that I'll type the answer. If it is providing resources, yes, the resources will be posted in the chat by me. If not, I will be speaking out loud. And so if you send your question just to me, I'll probably read it out loud, not addressing who asked. Perfect. Next, a little bit about me. So nice to meet you. My name is Julia Martins. I am an instructional designer with a background in biology and all the gross microbes you can find in a Petri dish. That was and still is my passion. I am located in Brazil, which is something interesting. I used to live in Superior, Wisconsin before 2020 happened. And with all the changes we all went through, I decided to move back to Brazil to be close to family. So instead of that Great Lakes super cold weather for 9 months of the year, now I have a little beach sunset in an island south of Brazil. So that's a little bit about me. Perfect. So as we're getting started, again, ask questions. I will try to answer the questions posted in the chat as we go. If I don't answer right away, we do have hands-on time. And when we have hands-on time, I'm most likely to mute myself so you have quiet time to actually work. And during that time, I will go back, see if I missed anything in the chat and address any questions. So please post those in the chat. Okay. I am not expecting you to leave with all of your assignments on point, everything ready, great details, using all of the tools, even because there is different types of learning, right? And different learning levels. So if you are a little hesitant about technology, give me a chance. If you want to just sit back, watch, and process all the information, you're more than welcome to do so. I will be I'll be telling you about a lot of things and then showing you all of these things and then giving you time to try them out. So if you don't want to try them out and maybe you just want to address questions at that time, that's completely fine. If you are pretty good at technology but want to learn a little bit more, that's great too. If you are a yay with technology and you're doing while I'm still speaking and you're going ahead and getting more questions, that's great as well. So I will be taking my camera off because once we are recording it, I don't want my face to be on top of anything or covering anything. So I will be shutting my camera off. But I will be here talking and showing you my screen. During this session, I'll probably have to change my screen for another one to show different pieces of information. Great. Again, we will have hands-on time. So if you are able to log into Canvas, I would ask you to do so. If you are already attending other sessions, you are most likely already logged in. But I will make sure I'll give you about a minute to go ahead, log in. Because we are doing assignments, I would suggest opening a course without students. So if you have a sandbox type of course where students are not enrolled, so if we make any changes, they wouldn't get notifications or anything like that, that would be great. So wait a minute just to make sure everybody got there. And if you get there, please let me know in the chat. Feel free to give me a thumbs up indicating that you got it, that we can move forward. Perfect, great. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about our agenda. So I will be sharing with you through the chat a link. This link will give you our agenda for the session, but you will also have some resources if you need those. So if you need to bookmark it or anything like that, please feel free. Otherwise, let's keep going. Perfect. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about the assignment index. So the assignment index is where we are creating assignments, organizing assignments, setting weighted grades, doing groups. So maybe you want to group all your homework and then all of your quizzes and all of your discussions. We're going to do a little bit of organizing in there. It's also where we're going to set due dates. And if you need to change multiple due dates at once, there's a way to do that. That's a huge time saver. And I want to make sure I'll show you and let you know how to do that. And then we're going to actually start creating assignments. So when we start creating assignments, we're going to look at media instructions. So if you went to the morning sessions and you looked at the rich content editor, you can create a video right from the rich content editor and have your instructions provided to your students that way. If you have it already in a studio video or in a YouTube video, we can also bring those in. Then we're going to look at settings, so options, due dates, type of assignments, submission styles, and things like that. And we're going to navigate all of those through the student view. Then getting close to the end, we're going to talk about considerations. So if you have created an assignment with a layout or a template, great instructions, maybe you provided great resources, and instead of copying and pasting, you just want to duplicate that assignment and save the settings, you can do that. And then differentiation, again, if a student needs a different due date or a due time, have more time to work on that, we can address those as well. Perfect. Okay, so why assignments, right? I think this is one of the hot topics with anyone from Instructure, from Canvas, is that the assignments are great. Assignments are great because there's a lot to them. So when we say an assignment, your assignment is automatically going to create a place in your gradebook for you. Your assignment is a way for you to communicate the instructions with your students. So there is a place for details, providing some guidance, providing resources. You allow your students to do file upload, submit anything online. Let's say you need them to upload a file, or you need them to record a video, you need them to record an audio file, you need them to annotate a document. All of those things can be done through the assignments. And also doing third-party tools such as the Google assignments. So if you have, let's say you created a worksheet in your Google Drive and you need to link that to assignments in Canvas, that will happen. We can do that. When you grade it in Google, that will automatically be updated to your students. When your students start working on that, you'll be able to check on progress as well. So honestly, it's an amazing tool. There's so much we can do with it. If you add due dates, so by adding a due date to an assignment, it will automatically populate your students' calendar, you will populate the syllabus, you will populate their to-do list, and it will send them notifications when the due date is coming up. So all of the excuses of, oh, I didn't know we had this, I didn't know we had that, I didn't see we had this, I didn't see we had that, all of those can't happen anymore because Canvas will be setting out those reminders. For the calendar feature, for example, once they have submitted an assignment, it will cross off their agenda, for example. So it's a great way for you as an instructor to keep track of your work, have a place to grade, have a place to set the grades, publish the grades, do the actual grading if you need to annotate and things like that, but also for your students to keep track of their work and organize themselves better. Honestly, nothing to lose, right? And then we have the differentiation. So we can accommodate a lot of things. So if everyone has, I say everyone because that's actually the term we use for the entire class in Canvas. Everyone has a due date of today, the 22nd, but you have one specific student that maybe had to travel or had a family emergency and they will not be able to do that. You can make that accommodation right from the assignment side and perhaps change that due date to Monday, which is maybe the 20 something, 26. You can change it right from Canvas and you don't need to keep making exemptions or taking points off, doing all of that in the gradebook. Perfect. One of the things that is fairly connected and perhaps confused is that the assignment index and the gradebook they impact each other. So in the assignment index, we would organize how we would want the gradebook to look like. While in the gradebook, you would simply grade, enter grades, and work on grading policies. So let's do this. I'll actually open. Okay, let's do a quick pause. Do we have any questions so far? I'll give it a minute. Perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to the assignment index. So I'm inside a course. This course is actually called Assignment Demo because it's all about assignments. And what I want to do is go to my Assignments tab. If it is not available in your course navigation, you should still be visible, but has this little eye with the cross. So if you are inside your Canvas course, go into Assignments. Perfect. In my assignments, as you can see, I have two blocks. So this first block is called Assignment Submission Types, and the second block is called Assignment Online. So these blocks that I'm calling are actually assignment groups. So we want to make a distinction between assignment groups and group assignment. Assignment groups are actually grouping for my assignment, a way for me as the instructor to organize my assignments. So let's say I want to add all of my discussions, assignment discussions in here. I would title this assignment group discussion assignments. Or let's say homework, and I'll add all of my homework assignments in here. I'll title it homework. This breakdown in the assignment index page will impact my gradebook. When you go to the gradebook, you don't need to do this, just hang on a bit with me. When you are in the gradebook, you would have individual assignments, and if you go all the way to the end, like far right, you would have a little bit of a breakdown for the grouping. So in this case, I would have two groups. This one is 75% of the grade. This one is 25% of the grade. This weighted gradebook is also created from my assignment index. So most of the changes we do in here, such as setting our assignment groups, creating weighted grades, rules. So when I say rules, what I mean is setting that the lowest score should be dropped or the highest score should be dropped, or a specific assignment should never be dropped. So let's say I have a lot of formative assignment and then I have one summative assignment, and I don't want that summative assignment to be dropped because it is more holistic. Then I would set that to never be dropped. While if I have a little scaffolding of all the other assignments, maybe I would allow my students to drop the lowest score from the other category. All of those things you can do right from the assignment index. Great. So I will actually collapse the two I have in here. Perfect. What I want to do now is actually create my assignment groups. So up in the top right corner, I have plus group. So this plus group refers to group assignments. And I have my plus assignment. In here, for the plus group, I'll start creating those categories such as submission types or online. So in this case, I will say example group 1. I will leave this blank for now. I'll hit save. I'll go again and then do example group 2. Again, I'll leave that blank. Perfect. So here I have my 4 groups. Next is the plus assignment. If I want to add an assignment, I can do from here, from the plus assignment, or I can do from the plus already in that assignment group, already in that category. Next, we have the little 3 dots. If you attended the morning session, you probably know that anywhere you have the 3 dots or snowman, some trainers call it snowman, you should definitely click it and explore what you have available. There's always more options. In this case, one of them is add assignment dates. The second one, assignment groups weight. And then we have import assignment groups or common favorites. Let's do assignment group weight. Here, if you haven't started doing the weighted gradebook, you will have this box to be checked. Let's go ahead and check that. And then it will pop up all the assignment groups I have currently created. So the first 2 I had before we started the session, and the example 1 and example 2 I just created. That's why these 2 are at a 0% because I left that box empty when we added the title. And the other ones are filled, adding to 100. Let's say I start playing around with this, and maybe I'll do 30 and then 30. Canvas will automatically let me know I'm over 100. So if your math skills are not the best like mine, that's completely fine. Canvas will do the math for us. And then I can play around and see when I'm happy with that. So let's say this will work for me, or maybe I want to change this back to 10 and I'll change this one to 30 and so on. I am free to play with this. If you want your gradebook total to be over 100, I honestly think it would allow you to do so. Yeah, it will allow you to do so, but you should be aware that this is the actual condition. I'll leave it in 100 just to make things easier. Perfect, so I'll hit save. Once I have added the weighted gradebook, then I'll have this 30% of total, 30% of total. It will indicate to me how much of the total each assignment group is worth. Perfect. So again, I'll go back to the 3 dots all the way up in the top corner. And the other option I had, the very first one, was edit assignment dates. When I click on edit assignment dates, what's going to do is it's going to create a index with all of the assignments I have currently created and the due dates that are currently set. From here, let's say there is a storm. There was a storm, and because of the storm, we had to skip 3 days of class. So I need to actually bump this by 3 dates for all of my assignments. Instead of having to open each assignment or going to the gradebook or going to the calendar and dragging every single one, I can come in here and through this square, I'll select all of them. From here, I selected all of them. Up in the top, I have batch edit. So I'll click in batch edit. And then I can shift the dates. So again, there was a storm, so we skipped 3 days of class. So I'll move those 3 days ahead, and then I'll do OK. So now all of the due dates change. So I have the option to revert the date. So now I have this little X right here. So I'll do cancel. I want to show you the difference. So let me go back. Okay, so I'll do the first two. So they're on, this one is on a Tuesday, that one is on a Thursday. I'll do batch edit, 1, 2, 3. Again, first one on a Tuesday, the second one on a Thursday. 3 days, and then OK. So now the one that was on a Tuesday, it's now on a Friday, and the one that was on a Thursday, it's actually on a Sunday. So let's say now I realize that by pushing the Thursday one to 3 days forward, it goes to on a Sunday. And I really don't want to assign anything on a Sunday. So I can go back and do revert changes. Perfect. So then now that's back. I am happy to leave this one on Friday. So I'll go up in the top and do save. Once I do save, I don't have the option to revert that change anymore. Once I saved it, that will now be taken as the standard, and that history will not be capped. Again, you can select all of them. You can select just a couple. If you know, maybe the storm only impacted a specific week, maybe I can select that 1 week, apply, and then it will only show me the assignments that are within their range. Ooh, I think it's still loading. Oh, 2 assignments selected. So only 2 assignments will apply, and Canvas already selected those for me. Then if I want to change, do batch edit and then make the changes all the way. If I scroll back, I'll have the availability to revert the changes. If I'm happy, I'll just hit save. If I want to cancel all of it, I'll just do cancel. I hit save, it gave me a loading bar, and then it told me it was done. Perfect. To leave this page, I can just do close, and then it will bring me back to my assignment index. Okay, one more thing I want to show you before we do some hands-on time is how to set the rules. So for this very first assignment group, I'm zoomed in. Perfect. For this very first assignment group, I have a couple assignments already. Some of them have due dates. Most of them already have points and are added to modules. So what I want to do is for that assignment group, so this block, I'll go all the way to the right and then the 3 dots again. When I come to the 3 dots, I have the option to edit, delete, move content, or move the group. If I move the group, it was just move the group in an order, so maybe before or after another group. So what I want to do is I want to go and edit. By going on edit, I'll have the option to change the group name. I can also change the total, the weighted percentage from here. I would normally change the weighted percentage when I'm doing all of them at once, just to make sure I see the math clearly. And then I'll have my rules. So for the rules, the very first option is lowest score. So how many do you want to ignore or drop? And then I can either go through the arrows or I can delete and enter a number. I'll keep it as 1. If you want to ignore the highest score, you can also do that and set from here. And then the never drop, you allow you to add an assignment. From here, you'll be able to select from a list of assignments that are already in that assignment group. So you always need to do this in a group level, because if you're trying to do the never drop for an assignment that is not here, it would not even be available as an option. Perfect. So I'll do the Google one. If I want to add multiple to never be dropped, I can. And again, because this one was already used, it wouldn't be in here again. If I edit, but I really don't want to do that anymore, I can X out of this and then it would delete it. Again, like everything in Canvas, and make sure you save the changes. Perfect. So go ahead and do save. Okay, so assignment index. We create the assignment groups to organize our gradebook. Often, if you have your own gradebook and you have your type of assignments, that's how I would suggest creating the groups. So if you have a group for pop-up quizzes, a group for homeworks, a group for online assignments and things like that. And then 3 dots up in the top to access the assignment dates to be changed, the edit assignment dates. Second option to do the weighted gradebook. And then within the actual assignment group, 3 dots, edit to access the rules. Perfect. So I know this was quite a bit of information. So I want to go ahead and give you time to practice some of the things we just looked at. So creating the assignment groups, setting the weighted grades if you want to, and then set some rules if that applies to you. If you have any questions, please post those in the chat and then I'll make sure to address those. If not, I will give you I'll give you like 3 minutes. If you finish before the 3 minutes, please let me know through the chat. And then if most of us have completed, we can get moving. Perfect. So I hope you had enough time to go ahead and create your assignment groups on a way that will make sense to your course. Now, I'll actually talk to you about creating the assignments and using that space. This is a example of an assignment. In here, you would have the directions, so a banner indicating that the directions are in there. There's a list, so step by step, what you should do. A video, so some of the instructions are being portrayed as through the media. Video style already embedded in here, so the students don't need to go anywhere else. They can play the video right from Canvas. It also indicates the learning goals, so what should the students accomplish through that activity, what's going to be the benefit, how they're going to grow from that assignment. And then in the bottom, there are parent resources. I have a joke with some of my peers that every issue you have with anything is always at midnight when no one is around to pick up the phone or answer an email. So this is how we would avoid that, right? So if you can provide maybe a link to a community guide or to your institution, maybe even creating a video on how to submit an assignment, that is a way to support your students, support the parents if applicable, and so on. So a template, for example, you can create one assignment and do your major sections. So your objectives, the guidelines, or maybe directions, learning goals, and support, things like that. And you can use that as a template. Maybe you want to duplicate that and then you can reuse it in an organic way. So for example, I think I did this with most of these assignments. So let me open. Perfect. So most of my assignments will look like this. So all of my assignments will have an assignment overview with an icon. Here I will have the space to add some information, maybe the guidelines down here, and the technical support. In this case, I added Canvas resource for students. This is being replicated in most of my assignments. So if I do next, it will look fairly similar. So what would change would be one, the title, because it is a different assignment, and the instructions. But the layout overall would be fairly similar. All of them would have an overview, would have the guidelines, and would have the technical support. Again, if I keep clicking next, you keep looking at something fairly similar. From the student view, what would change is, this is the only one that doesn't. From the student view, what would change would be how they would get to that assignment, how they would be submitting it. But overall, they have the same three elements. So for your course, what would be some of the elements that would be helpful? So that's one thing to think about. Again, adding resources. The number one ticket with Canvas is from those midnight, no one is around situations where students just can't submit a document. They don't know how to get to the submission site. They don't see the start. They don't see the submit here. So adding either Canvas guides, there are some Canvas videos available guiding students and instructors and all roles on how to submit assignments. If you have your video in YouTube, created in YouTube, you can 100% embed that through the embed code. And other resources. If you have other resources, if your institution created maybe a blog talking about how to add an assignment and things like that, you can always embed those in through the Rich Content Editor. If you see that this is a recurring issue, 100% go ahead and add that to all of your assignments, or maybe just in this beginning as your students are getting started and used to the platform. And then later on, maybe they'll get used to it and more comfortable, and those situations will happen less often. Again, more examples. listing the objectives, listing the to-dos step by step, what you need to turn in, how to turn it in, things like that. This one on the side, it's similar to mine. It has the student instructions. It has some icons just to make it fun. Honestly, the line breaks are probably one of my favorite things to organize my page and break down content, similar to what I used here. Have my assignment overview, do a line break, guidelines, another line break, and then technical support. Ooh. Perfect. Okay, so this one will hold on for a little bit. Great. So now what we're going to do is actually go ahead and create an assignment. So I will close this too. As I mentioned before, you can create your assignment from the plus assignment up here, and then later on in the process of creating the assignments and adding the settings, you would select in which assignment group you would want that to be placed. I normally just go right to my assignment group and add that assignment from here. So in this plus right next to my weighted total, I will select the plus, I'll click on the plus, and I'll add the name. So I'll do example activity 1. If I want to do a due date, maybe I'll do tomorrow. If I want to do the points, I can do the points right from here. And then if I do save or save and publish, it would just create a placeholder with just this information. I actually want to go ahead and edit with all the details, have everything set. So I'll go to more options. When I click more options, it will actually open the assignment editing page in the edit mode already. So I can go ahead and fill that in. Up in the top, I will have my title. So the title that already is set because I did that from the assignment index. And then again, here I'll add my details. So again, up in the top, I'll do a learning goal. And then I'll do enter text. I won't do something super creative because I don't think that's why you came here. How to, and then enter text. And then the assignment I'm creating, it's supposed to act as a template, so then I can't reuse it. I can duplicate it and use it at another time as well. And then in the end, I'll do resources. Perfect, and then enter text. I want to make all of my headings headers, so those will stand out. Let's say I want to edit an emoji. I can do that. So for the resources, I'll do me raising my hand. Then for my how-to, I'll do a check box. Perfect. If I want to enter the line breaks that I mentioned, I'll do insert from the rich content editor, and then it says horizontal line. So I'll add those in there. Again, insert, horizontal line. Those should be in there. Perfect. So from the rich content editor, I added details. So my students know what to do, what the goal is, step by step, what they need to do, and I have provided resources, and I have my emoji of someone raising a hand. Perfect. As I scroll down, I'll get to the actual details of my assignment. So first, I'll have my points. Again, I set 10 points from the assignment index. I can select the assignment group. So let's say I want to change it to another assignment group, I would be able to. Displaying the points, you can do percentage, complete or incomplete, points, letter grade, GPA scale, or not graded. I will keep mine as points, but you are free to change this to what fits your needs best. There is an option here saying, do not count this assignment towards final grade. If you use this and you click and you check this box, your students will also know that this is not being counted towards final grade. The exact same message will pop up in the exact same way with a blue shaded box in the background telling them that that assignment does not count towards final grade. If you do not want your students to know, I would leave it unchecked, and towards the end of the term, if you need to come here and make this not count anymore, you can. Some of the things, some changes you can't make after your students have submitted work. This is not one of them. So if you want to come here and check this box at a later point, you should be able to. Perfect. I will leave it unchecked. Next, you have submission type. Submission type, we will do a little bit of a deeper dive in a little bit, but it breaks down to 4 major categories. So the first one is no submission. What would be a no submission? Let's say you're giving your students points for attending a museum tour. That's no submission, but it would still allow you to have a place in the gradebook to award those points, and you would still be able to inform them through this box that this is what those points are coming from. Tell them, hey, this is the museum tour, these are times, and give them all the details. They will not be submitting anything because maybe you're just checking attendance in that museum tour, but you still need a place to award those points. This is how we would do it. The next one is online. So with online, there are more options, which again, we will explore in a little bit. But it's mainly anything that you want your students to do through a computer or a mobile device. So text entry, they would get something similar to the Rich Content Editor. Website URL, they would be able to copy and paste like an address bar from a website. Media recordings, it can be audio or video, MP3 or MP4. Student annotation, it's almost like a worksheet. So your students would actually be able to fill in a worksheet, or let's say it's almost like a game and you post like a picture where they need to find where things are different. They would be able to do that. And the last one, fairly common, file uploads. Let's say they wrote an essay and you want them to submit that. The other one is on paper. Let's say it is a in-class face-to-face quiz. You still need a place for this to be graded in the gradebook. You can still tell your students details. Maybe you want to indicate to them what they need to do to prepare for that quiz, what this quiz will be covering, things like that on papers. Anything that will be submitted to you on paper. You can tell me, oh, but isn't it the same as no submission? No, it isn't, because it will actually tell your student that this will be submitted on paper, and it will tell your student that this one has no submission. So keep that in mind. And then the external tool will actually be an app. So let's say you have created a studio quiz. This is how you would bring your studio quiz as a graded item, or the Google LTI, which I won't be able to find it from here, but the Google 1.3, you would be able to find it from here as well. Perfect. I'll do no submission for now. Next, you have the ability to do a group assignment. So a group that will be graded and submitted as a group. You can do this from here. You don't necessarily need to create the groups ahead of time. You can create them from here as well, have them be randomly picked, or create them right from here. I will not do that now. If you want your students to do peer review, you can do that from here as well, and set if you want them manually assigned or automatically assigned. Okay, so the other ones, I wouldn't worry about it too much for now. Great. The next one is the assign to. By default, you have everyone. So for everyone, it means all these students will have this due date, this available from, and this date as an until. Due date is the date that's going to populate their calendars, their to-do list in the dashboard, is the date where they're going to get notifications regarding that due date. Available from, the date where you want your students to start having access to what's in here, when you want them to start being able to submit it. Maybe you don't want your students working ahead. This is how you would set when you want that assignment to be available, open, almost. And then the until, it's a hard lock. So if you set an until date, after that until, your students will not be able to submit any work anymore. If you do on the same date, in the same date as the due date, it will act the same, but then following this minute, they won't be able to submit anymore. Canvas will not let you set this due date before. Oh, it shouldn't. Let me try to save. I don't think it will let me save. Here we go. You see, Canvas will not let you do the until date before the due date, because then it wouldn't make sense. It would just cause frustration on the student's end, right? So the most recent you can do is the same as the due date. Again, a hard lock. After that, your students will not be able to submit anything. Perfect. Let's say, okay, let's pause here. So I'll do save. You can do save and publish. Because I still have some editing to do, I'll just do save. Perfect. So now I want this assignment to act as my template. Again, I have a pretty general name. I have somewhat of a template here, so I know I'll have to enter text for my learning goal, for my how-to, and for my resources. My assignments are 10 points. Everything else in my settings is fairly general. So what I'll do now is I'll go back to my assignments. I will actually scroll down here. Example activity 1. I really like this. I like how it's set up. If I needed more assignments, they would be fairly close to this. So what I want to do is go to the 3 dots and do duplicate. Everything will be the same, including the settings. So the due date will be the same, set of points, everything should be fairly similar. So now I have a template and I can replicate it and just make small changes instead of having to go ahead and start from scratch. Perfect. So now I'll give you time to go ahead, create an assignment to serve as a template. So add some details, we'll use general settings, and then when you are back in the assignment index page, go ahead and duplicate that assignment. I'll give you some time. Oh, not 10 minutes. I'll give you about 3 minutes. Again, if you finish before that, please let me know. If you have any questions, this is a great time to ask. If you're just following along and not necessarily doing the activities, you're more than welcome to use this time for questions as well. Perfect. How did it go? Let me know in the chat. Did you have any issues? Did it go smoothly? Were you trying to find something and you had a hard time? Did it went amazing and you have an amazing template? How did it go? Great. Nice. Perfect. Okay. So what I want to do now is actually explore the different ways and things the students can submit. So to do that, I'll actually go into Student View. So I'll go to my modules. Let me do these two down here. Perfect. So I'll go into Student View, and then we'll see what it will look like for the students. So let me get started. So with the no submission assignment, up in the top, it will tell my students that it's no submission. It will tell them that the total is 10 points. It will indicate the due date and time, and they would be able to see the details. They can also collapse this or expand. Everything, all of my assignments and things that I'll be showing you right now are added to a module. So I'll just click next to navigate. And that happens because they are in a module. Perfect. This one is an on-paper assignment, indicating that it is on paper, the due date and time, 10 points possible. Again, I don't have anything to click or to start because it is on paper. Perfect. Next, online assignment. This one, because it is online, as soon as they open the assignment, it will say that it is in progress and that the next step is to submit it. It will indicate due date and time, total points available. It will indicate that this one is set as unlimited attempts. And through the drop down, I'll see all of the attempts if I have already had one, if I'm in the second one, and so on. Again, the guideline, and in the bottom, they would be able to choose the submission. Because it is online, for this assignment, what I did is I selected all the options available but the student annotation. So when it is a text entry, this is what they have. It would have this little text icon. When I click in here, I would get the rich content editor. From here, the students would use the rich content editor exactly the same way as you as an instructor would do it. So for example, we demoed how to do upload and record media, and your student would be able to do the same. So let's say you are teaching a language class and you want them to submit a video of them talking or reading something or an audio file just to see the pronunciation. They would be able to do that from here. Let's say your students don't have a computer, they can do this from their phones as well. Again, the same tools you have. So if they need to embed a YouTube video, if they need to create a math equation, all of those tools are available. Perfect. The other one is the web URL option. And as I mentioned, they would be able to grab something such as this course link on the address bar. So I can do copy, and then from here I can paste and then submit. I can preview and then look at more options. If I do media, they can record and upload, the exact same principle, either bringing from the computer or again recording right from here. And the last one I had was the upload a document, which they can drag and drop or choose a file from here and navigate to their desktop downloads or documents and so on. Let me give you an example. So for this one, as soon as I have something in here, Canvas will save and allow them to actually submit. Let's say they're not using this tool. If they do the URL, as long as there is something in here, a valid URL, they would be able to submit. The media, as you can see, I can't yet, but if I record something right here, let me do like a 1-second video. Hello, and then finish. title test, and then save. Oh, I don't think I did it. Perfect. Then I should be able to submit it. I'll just delete this. Same thing with upload. I can't until I actually add something in here. Once I add a document, let me go ahead and add the document. Edit the document, it will load, give me a check mark, then I'm able to submit. Perfect. Next, I added the single one. So this one, it's only the text entry. So the text entry would already populate. The next one, again, those are like just single. The only thing I can do is the media recording. So as I scroll down, I can add the media and so on. Website URL, same thing. Student annotation. So this one, I am not able to select with everything else. So this one is a little more specific. But what happens is when I was creating the assignment, which I'll walk you through in a little bit, I'm able to add a file. So when my student comes here, they will actually click on Start Assignment. And then that student annotation document will pop up right here. So I added my student annotation example. I need to enter my name, topic. This session is on, that's a typo. And then from here, I can enter text. So let's say I'll do Julia. If I can spell my name right. Let's say the size is too big. I'll make the size smaller. Let me move this up. Let's say this, I got that typo, so I'll cross off that typo. I can indicate leave note, and so on. So your students, right from here, they would be able to fill in a sheet. They can draw on things if you have an image. Most file types would be available. There is a resource on the file types, but honestly, I haven't run into a file type that I couldn't do and I wanted to. So I can't give an example of a file type that doesn't work. Perfect. So then again, I would be able to submit. Leave, because I don't want to save my changes. Perfect. Any questions so far? I'll give a minute to see if any questions pop up in the chat. No questions yet? Perfect. Okay, so what we'll do now is actually see how we can set that up. So I'll go back to my example assignment. I'll open that assignment. Up in the top, I would be able to edit. What I want to do now is actually differentiate how the assignment will be turned in. So when I scroll down, again, I left as no submission as was the first option. When I want to do online, the very first box is a text entry, which we saw it's a rich content editor where the students can do anything. The website URL, media recordings, file uploads. So if you want to select all of this for the same time, you can. You cannot do the student annotation with everything else. But the other ones you should be able to. The two that give you more options is file uploads. When you do file uploads, you get an option to restrict upload file types. One example, if you have a Microsoft or Google computer and your student has a Apple computer, a MacBook, for example, and they use Pages to create their files, then you in your Microsoft or Google computer can't open it. In order to avoid that, you can set the file types you will be accepting. Canvas in here gives you an example of how you can add those in. You can do multiple file types at the same time, but you need to follow a certain pattern, right? Another thing, if you are using this and you want to restrict the file types, make sure you include all the file types you will be accepting and you mean to accept. One common example is document, like Word documents. If you do the DOC, the doc extension, but not the docx, if your student has a more updated or an older version of Word documents, then they could run into issues, but you really didn't mean for that to happen. So just make sure you add all the file types you do accept and that your students have access to. Perfect. This is how you do file uploads and restrict the file types. Also, if you are doing, let's say, an art class or something that you want, like an image, those are not our usual file type, so make sure you update that to accept that type of file as well. Perfect. The other one that can be a bit more tricky is the student annotation. So the student annotation would require you to upload that file in here, so that would be available for students. So what I would do is I would do course files, because I think that's already uploaded in there. And then annotation example. So now I have that in here. I did mine as a PDF, just because in my head it makes more sense to have a PDF to be fillable. But I believe you can do a Word document as well. If I really didn't mean to add this file and I want a different file, I can just use this trash can to get rid of it and then choose a different file. But I think that should be fine. Okay, the other option, going back to 3 dots, is external tool. For external tools, I will do the example of a Canvas Studio video quiz. So I clicked on Studio. This will load my studio. I'll select my video, do video quiz, select the quiz, and then embed. If I scroll down, still in this box, I will have the URL. It may look like nothing really changed, but it did. So that's one thing that normally people are like, it didn't do anything. But if you scroll down to the URL, now it should be filled. And then you can do select. This is also how you set the Google 1.3, which I don't know if I can find it from this. Here it is. Google Assignments LTI 1.3. I need to change to a different device to be able to do that, but this is how you would do it. I will demo it in a little bit. Perfect. So these are all the different ways to set different types of submission. I will leave the other ones up. I'll do no submission just to make it simple. And then if you had more students, I'm hoping you're working in a course that doesn't. If you had more students and your student is on a different due date, you would do a plus. When you come here, it would actually load your class list. So in this case, I have myself in the student version. So Julia student, and then I can give myself a different due date. Perfect. So again, now up in the top, instead of everyone, it says everyone else, because Julia student has a different due date. And then this change would only apply to Julia student, and it would only be visible to Julia student. So all the other students would only see this due date, and Julia would only see that due date. One student wouldn't know about the others' differentiation. They would only see what applies to them. Perfect. So even if I want to have her with a bigger range for the available from and until, I can compare. Let's say this one, they have a pretty tight window of 1 day back and forth to and then this one and a different one, that's completely fine. Again, each student would only see what applies to them specifically. They would not be aware of the other options or distinctions. If I don't want to do that, I can just click X and X out of this. If I'm happy with the changes, I can do save or save and publish. So I'll hit save for now. Okay. Yeah, we did this one. Perfect. So now I'll give you time to go ahead, create. You can either create an assignment or do the assignment you duplicated and edit one of the duplicates. You can make a video with directions from the Rich Content Editor if you didn't do that activity in your first session. And then you can complete and save. If you don't want to do that, you can also go ahead and change the differentiated submission type. Maybe do a student annotation if you have a worksheet available, do a differentiated date if you have students or not. Play a little bit with those settings and then let me know how it went. Again, if you have any questions other than that, that's completely fine. Please let me know. I'll set the time here. I'll do like 3 minutes so you have time to explore. I'll mute myself in case you are recording the video. If you are done before the timer runs out, please let me know. If you have any questions, please let me know. Perfect. How did it go? Were you able to look at different submission types? Did you have any questions? Did you run into any issues? Did everything work smoothly? Perfect. Okay, so now let me change my sharing options. Perfect. Okay. So now what we'll actually do is look at the Google submission. So what I'll do is in the exact same course, so assignments demo, I'll go into that assignment. So let me go assignments. And then the Google 1.3. Perfect. I'll do edit. Oh, I'm sorry. I want to open that one that we were actually working with, right? So let me go back to assignments. Example activity, edit. So now I'll make this assignment that we have been working on in a Google 1.3 LTI assignment. So here is what we need to do. As I mentioned, for the submission type, we want to go in and do external tool. In the external tool, we'll go ahead and click find. From here, I will scroll until I find the Google Assignments LTI 1.3. I'll select that option. Now what Canvas is doing is trying to connect with my Google Drive. So it will actually allow me to create and share my coursework. It will ask me to make sure this is the account I want to link. So make sure this is your institutional email, and then I'll do continue. This is what it will open. This is how I'll be able to set that assignment. What I need to do is select a file. So I'll do attach. Make sure you have that worksheet or instructions already created. So what I'll do is I have this document example. So this is what I will actually do. I'll do document example. I'll select that. Here it will indicate to me that each student will get a copy of this document, and then they will be able to work in the document from here. The total points, because in Canvas I had set as 10, I will make sure those match. And I do not want to do the due date from here. I want to only use the due date in Canvas. And I say that because this will actually set the due date to be a hard lock. So if my students need access to this afterwards, they may run into issues. So I will leave this blank. If you want to add a due date, let's do it in Canvas. Perfect. So make sure you add the document, make sure the points will match. And then I'll click create. Perfect. Similar to the studio, it seems like not a lot changed, but if I scroll down, now I have the URL in here. So I'll do select. Again, I'll make sure that the URL is set. I'll scroll all the way down. I'll just X out of this. And then I will do save and publish. Perfect. So now I have my example 1 activity set as a Google assignment. I just created it. So here I'll be able to I have the title of it, example activity 1. It's worth 10 points. There's no due dates in Google. The due dates are in Canvas. And then I'll be able to see that there's 0 submissions, 0 returned, and no students have submitted yet. The one interesting thing about the Google assignments is that I would be able to check students' progress. So right here, I have my student user that is now going to go to that assignment. So let me assignment types. I'll go to assignments. So this is my student account. So this is how my student is seeing it. Where's the assignment we just created? Here, example activity 1. It's already available, so I'll click in that. This is how my students would see it. So I'm submitting it through an external tool. I'll wait for that to load. It may take a little bit longer because it's connecting with that Google account. Perfect. So now the Google assignments will again tell my students the title. It will tell them that it is assigned. So they have been assigned a document. I can open to attach and submit, and the file I will be working on is right here. So I can either click on open to attach and submit or click on that file. I'll click on that file just to see how my students would be actually able to work in there. Perfect. So this is the outline. It was already created in the template assignment that was given. So what is the topic for today's training? I'll type assignments. Perfect. Now I'll X out of here. So as a student, I already started working on it, right? I was able to come here, open that, click on the file and set that assignments. I was able to type in assignments. Now in my instructor view that said that there were 0 submitted, no students have started. So I'll refresh this page and I'll see what it looks like. Perfect. So now if I scroll down, 0 students have submitted because I didn't submit it yet. But for my Julia student account, the status is assigned because I did open and started. If I click here as an instructor now, I'll be able to see that she actually started filling in. Great. Perfect. So whenever she submits it, so I'll do open and attach. Again, now I'm in the student account. I'll select this file. If I don't want to select that, I can X out of it. And now I'll do submit. Okay. Perfect. Let me reload this. Oh, I guess I didn't do it. Let me try again. Yes, submit. So give the confirmation. Again, as a student, process of submitting it, you let me know I'm all set. My assignment has been submitted. Now I'll go back to my instructor view, refresh. Perfect. So now I have 1 submitted. It will tell me that Julia student submitted it. If I want to grade it, I can open it, and then I'll be able to grade it from here. Perfect. So now, there are too many tabs open now. Perfect. So now I'll actually give you time to go ahead and create that Google assignment. So for the instructions, I have 2 different slides. So part 1 would be actually creating the assignment and doing the external tool, selecting the LTI and connecting it to your Google account. So I'll give you like about 2 minutes to do that. If you run into any issues, please let me know. There may be more than one Google application, so make sure you do Google Assignments LTI 1.3. If you have any questions, please post to the chat. Perfect. How did it go? Perfect. So the next steps would be actually attaching the file from the Google Drive, leaving the due date open. Again, as I mentioned, it will be a hard close due date. And then you click create. And then again, doing the due date and rubric in Canvas. And then you'll be able to save and publish. So give you a couple more minutes for this final steps. Great, we have a couple more seconds for this activity. Please let me know if you run into any issues. If you have any questions, if you need any help. If you work just fine, please let me know as well, so I know it worked. I know you don't need any help, you got it. Perfect, great.